Hello, comrades, and welcome to another episode of Loco Dome. This is Season 1, Episode 18. I'm your host, Ellis, otherwise known as the Admiral. With me, I have two post-commentary helpers, one being the technical advisor, the other one being an individual that you folks probably all know from them giving their post-commentary on all of these episodes thus far. But this is a post-commentary. Because I deleted my audio by mistake. So,
Whoa.
I will say very quickly, of course, buy trading cards on our website on theironhorseman.com, watch the other episodes of the series which are not as broken, and the two individuals which will be playing this game today are returning contestants, and they're also having a rematch. So this is an interesting arrangement. But yeah, I will, real quick, before we get too far into it, because this is a live post-commentary. The video is rolling, and we're going to have to keep up with it. I will introduce, of course, Tyler, technical advisor, is here doing post-commentary, and Hemlock, welcome to the show, for real.
Wow. Yeah, I've made appearances, if you count just being generally notorious among the contestants.
Yeah,
Also winning the last big.
This is the bracket as it is. That's the winner's bracket. You can see East's path through the bracket to the current spot in the lead. You can see Kaiserin's path to getting defeated by East, and Brian getting defeated by Kaiserin and getting knocked down to the loser's bracket, where he has been on a bit of a warpath. He went through Milky and Fort.
Hang on, where's that meme? Where's the meme?
There's the first we'll hear from him. He went through Milky and Fort to get back to face Kaiserin, which is a fascinating scenario. And that is the match we will be talking about today.
Sad that Fort didn't make it. I was rooting for him.
Fort, oh man, Fort I think could have made it. You know?
Oh yeah, he could have. I think if he had known how to handle that match better, like there were a few small blunders, but I think Fort was just struggling to build up the momentum again.
Yeah. Anyway.
800 PSI.
No, when you filmed it, we were episode 3.
Okay, yeah, so they met previously in episode 3, and here they are meeting again in episode 18. Of course, the winner from that match is going to go on to face the winner of AJ versus Bender. The winner of that match, the winner of this match, rather. The winner of the next match, which would be the loser's bracket semifinal, will go on to face Mopac. And, the winner of that goes on to face East in the final. It's going to be, see if anyone can stop East, or will he be getting another pack of trading cards.
Put me up against him with the funny roster, and I'll get him.
Classic.
Anyway, let's go over these rosters really quick. The first one is Kaiserin's with the 242A1, and that's sort of her headlining locomotive. I don't remember how long it took me to get through these.
Yeah, that was my biggest mistake.
Apparently, Brian had a big mistake. We're going to get out-of-context remarks from all of them through all of these. I believe I made some funny jokes, and they are lost to time.
Sadly.
Yeah, well, depends. Depends how you count them. I talked about the bracket for a while in this one, I guess. Because we're still looking at it. I'm still poring it over. I'm still talking about the paths that they took, and probably last match, which was a win by knockout on Kaiserin's part. The final knockout was initiated by Brian, but Kaiserin...
Yeah, I remember talking about that decision.
It was very funny.
So yeah, 242A1, Chapelon French northern thing.
It was known as Chapelon's Dame, or Chapelon's Lady, or something like that.
Which we found out has a nickname. It unfortunately didn't come up. But that's, it didn't come up previously, I should say. We also have the Red Devil, which is an engine with a nickname and a name. Porta.
LD Porta.
LD Porta.
Yes, Wardale.
Nuts.
And it was named, if I remember right.
Yeah, Wardale built it.
Named in honor of the guy who inspired Wardale.
We were actually talking about that exact arrangement, Wardale and Porta, talking about the embossed number plate. Then we have Skookum. An interesting
v. Skookum.
selection. Yeah, an interesting selection for an interesting lineup. Hogwarts Castle or Alton Hall, which I think we had a stat mix-up in the past that got fixed, and King Edward the
Yeah,
First.
Valve Gear.
Yeah.
Did Milky's lineup have Skookum?
2 Northern,
Yes.
Articulated.
So 3 different
and 2
people brought
Tendulars.
Skookum to this bracket.
No,
Yes.
Milky did not bring Skookum.
I thought Milky. No, Milky brought like the rest of the logging set.
Yeah, Milky brought... I don't think Milky brought Skookum.
It would have been funny if Milky brought one.
I remember being... Well, Milky had 3100, 90, one of the other melees. I
Yeah.
don't think he had Skookum.
Did not have Skookum. Had
Yes,
Sierra
the-
18.
The forgotten child of Milky that won a Royale way back when.
Oh, I forgot about... yeah, we need to go
Olsen
over
45.
Brian's lineup. Speaking of Milky,
It's a klaxon.
it has an air horn thing.
It goes a wooga.
It tells the people to run out into the trenches.
Pretty much, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That is the joke that I made then. I remembered that one at least. Then we have Skookum.
No, oh god, I'm just having flashbacks to the Davenport Diesel.
Blah blah.
That
Davenport,
sunk?
Blah blah. Pearl Harbor.
Like, this is the Steam equivalent of Dave.
Okay, yeah, that's right. This is... I referred to...
No, I dubbed this Antoine.
I called it Lay Dave.
Dave brackets French.
I tried to do the hon French back.
It's
Ho, ho, ho.
it's a Dave but with an accent grave on the
Yes,
on the
Spider-Man
E.
pointing meme, which I posted in chat.
Skookum and Skookum. Yeah, so this is the reason I put Kaiserin and Brian together the first time. The mirror match.
Yeah, so that they can so that one can call a knockout against the other and
It isn't,
simply
yeah.
knock both Skookums.
And speaking of duplicates, we have 2 110s. They're both Weyerhaeuser or whatever.
Yeah, not
Little
the
and
basic.
big.
Win.
These were both built for Weyerhaeuser, and I guess the Black Hill Central 110 that got sold off, and then the newer 110 took its place, which eventually ended up as a horrid-looking tender engine on the California Western.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. The weird-looking
Yeah.
Yeah,
2662, the noodle boiler.
the worst possible fate of all.
Nothing
all
here
tank
has the noodle
engines.
boiler. I just posted that like because of the conversation earlier.
The worst thing is they
Um,
need to add additional weight to it.
More weight.
Oh,
And 1309 is the large engine in Brian's lineup, which is an overgrown logging melee, as we found out. It's time to flip
Yeah.
a coin and start this game. It comes up, tails, which means Brian gets to start. Brian will now select his first, or his locomotive to start the game, and Kaiserin will select hers. If you don't know the rules of this by this point, I feel like go back and watch other ones, or read them.
I did get the coin flip last match, and just like last match, this isn't a mistake, I swear. We're going with Antoine.
Lay Dave.
I know. I'm just saying that I'm going with the Peugeot Bourdon.
Oh,
I-
Late Dave.
I think that's
David.
not a bad choice as a start.
David. Okay, he's not Antoine, he's David.
David Diggs. Lafayette.
Yeah,
It does guarantee the small points.
Skookum.
Kaiser decides to start with Skookum.
not a terrible rebuttal, but you know, it's not like
Alright,
she is anything better.
Yeah.
Again, back to roster composition.
hmm
It's nice
Yeah.
to have a low end. How low can you go?
That did remove one of my easy dubs. But, we'll get to that one later. Let's start off with, one of the things I value the most with this engine. Power MT.
It seems like a weird call, but I do know that it's insanely high.
NT.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look.
Yeah.
255.62.
I remember it being something different. Okay, but still, 1401.72.
It
It's
is
a
really
weird
funny.
call. It's a weird call if you don't know that the Articulateds has an absurdly good power MT.
Right. I think the
Yeah.
first time I heard him make that call, I was like, "What are you doing?"
To be fair, Skookum does sound quite similar to that drug in Oblivion, skooma. So,
I don't know what you're.
I don't
talking about.
remember. I don't remember what led into that, but I asked for a mod to change just the name of the drug in the game.
Year built.
You're built.
1909.
1915.
Okay,
Hmm.
so 2 points. It's going to be tough for us to
Alright,
keep track of this.
Well, no.
Number in class.
1.
280.
Yeah, the easy points. I feel
Number
like
built.
actually maybe
1.
leading with Skookum wasn't the
280.
best idea because Brian has that in his roster. If there's any engine of yours, he's gonna know it's this
Hang
one.
on, I was just looking up something. Turns out this particular engine was built in 1916, so
That's
I
fair.
might use that stat instead later. Oh, right, yeah. Driver wheelbase.
Rigid wheelbase for me.
Driver wheelbase. Yeah, oh, I thought you said, I thought she said engine. So I was like, oh.
5.335.
2.95.
That number got fixed.
Okay, great. He did remember.
I'm trying to make this big enough where I can see the
Well,
scores.
more correctly for our purposes,
Oh, I guess I can't make it any bigger than this.
this is actual rigid wheelbase. This is
There is
the length
no-
of one
like,
wheelbase, because turns out
There is no way that there is 2 foot from wheel center to wheel center. Or actually, no, it's this locomotive. Of course there is.
I mean,
well, it's 3 feet actually. 0.05 short.
it is an extremely small rigid wheelbase, but it's far more reasonable than the 1.5 he was saying last time.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
less than the driver diameter, if hem is to be believed. I think.
No, what I said is that it would make no sense for it to be less than the driver diameter.
Yeah,
so
it
the
is less
listed
than the
number
driver
has
diameter
to be
looking
more
at
than
it
the has to be. The listed
Oh
number
yeah,
has to be
tender
rigid.
loaded weight.
I think in context, that was
Under
correct.
loaded weight.
Yeah.
80,350.
Big fat goose egg, and suddenly I'm realizing that's one of the ones I should have used later on once the markers came up, because you wouldn't have been able to block.
Hey,
Smart.
he remembers.
Oops, that was my
Yeah.
bad.
And I was saying, I don't think you've made any mistakes. And he kept saying, I think that's a mistake.
They're small
I'm
I'm
blunders.
not going to call that one.
Like I
because
wouldn't even
know
really call
Scooby
it
was
a
better.
blunder, just a suboptimal move.
I wish I could though, because that would.
Yeah, that's why I say. Just a single question mark. It's just a mistake.
Yeah.
No
One
two
question mark,
questions.
no two.
Oh wait a minute. I could.
Once I was told by someone that calm Kaiserin is scary Kaiserin.
I said to Kaiserin to steal herself for this. Be calm. It'll be okay.
Oh god, I need to know again. What's the situation when it comes out as a tie?
Oh, right. I had to explain ties because Brian started to get an idea here, which you will see come to fruition later.
I
Uh,
Oh no.
not happy about that one.
Okay. I'm gonna pick weight on drivers.
oh, shoot. I wanted to say something.
129,850.
28,197.
Ham, I think you're right about the locomotive selection here, because if you're... Skookum is Kaiserin's smallest, but if you know you're going to lose the weight stats anyway, you might as well try to
Minimum weight of rail.
catch someone out.
54.
Right. Especially since, Brian also has Skookum in his roster, so no way he has all the stats memorized, but to a degree he can outmaneuver Skookum in a way he isn't necessarily
Huge.
going to be able to with another locomotive. Like
186 at 2 1/4.
96 at 1.772.
at the start I thought year built was a weird thing to call, was a risky thing to call given he's World War One. But then I realized he has Skookum. He would know. He could know it's built 1909. That's a pretty logical leap.
Total engine and tender weight.
I wonder how this.
243,000.
28,197.
I wonder how this would have gone if Kaiserin had jumped in with the 242A1, because it's
Engine weight.
her largest locomotive.
162,650.
No,
She would have lost all these stats anyway, but
Yeah.
Engine wheelbase.
might have been able to catch Brian out.
Something. 28,197. I had a brain fart there. Like, my brain skipped ahead.
Power
time.
MT maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Power Empty maybe, or anything else. I mean, would have.
Yeah, I was supposed to get a haircut this morning, and
Brian wouldn't have called year.
Took some of your brain cells with it, didn't it?
Right.
That's how I feel.
think. I don't know if there were a lot
Well,
of good
yeah,
options for
engine
Kaiserin
wheelbase.
here, just because of her composition. But
33 feet.
7.55
Carnaby wanted us to be
overall
able to
wheelbase.
overall wheelbase.
55.17 feet.
7.55.
Part of me wanted us to be able to sort of pause, and then I realized how difficult that would be to sort of stitch everything together. So we had pause and talk about a specific call or anything. But these are all numbers
Just the
everyone's.
accent, Ellis.
yeah,
These are all numbers everyone's heard before. So
right. Yeah,
Deja
I think it
vu.
was a good call for Kaiserin here, but I think on second thought, I know I said Skookum was an okay
Okay.
call. I think Skookum was actually probably the worst locomotive to pick for this opener.
I'm gonna risk the outcome of this. Builder.
What?
Hold on, this is-
Bald one.
This too is a bald one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell no.
So I asked Kaiser
Oh!
if he wanted to switch.
Oh, I fucking see. Now that he's wasted now that he's gotten all the weight stats, he's gonna swap to another Baldwin that's larger than Skookum. Oh my god.
Yep.
No, except he swapped to Skookum.
Why would you do that?
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Hold your breath. It's coming. I was just double checking the rules here. So Brian swaps to Skookum, right? And I go through every other tab I have open before I get back to the right one. And we're sort of talking about this, and I'm going on about how weird it is. But realize that the ball is going to go in the hands of Kaiserin now.
So it forces her to hand him a tie. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Tractive effort.
Yeah.
24,600.
24,600.
I don't know what I would have done in that position. I mean, maybe I would have just taken the lost point and swapped to something not built by Baldwin.
1309 Mountain Thunder.
Yeah, and so Brian takes the tie and uses it to swap back to 1309.
Hold on. Who built 1309?
Baldwin.
Why wouldn't you just... No, I
Because-
see, because now he gets it with the ball, too.
70,000.
Yeah.
What would you do?
773.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah, there's just
I need
nothing
drink
you
of
can
water.
do to this.
I mean, I feel like Kaiserin could have
24,600.
Kaiserin could have lost the point to not have this happen, but no one. I didn't see this coming.
Yeah,
you know.
she could have. There's no way I would have guessed
You know,
this
to
is
be
what.
fair,
the
I
strategy
should have
was.
expected
It-
that and called something like factor of adhesion because I know that locomotive has bad factor of adhesion.
And she makes a good point about how, another option there once she had the ball.
Should have seen it coming, but it's just a game. We're here to have fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
I guess there were ways to play around this, but I probably also would have been flabbergasted in this situation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
trying to
it
think
seems
who
like
it
a
was, few-
horrendous play, but it's like,
It seems like a horrendous play, and it turns out to be brilliant. And I really don't want to give him credit for this because I hate it. But I guess I'll give him credit. I guess I give Brian credit. It's a brilliant play.
Yeah.
yeah. That's why he asked about the tie rules earlier.
Oh my
The
God.
gears were turning like 10 minutes ago, which is just, it impresses me, genuinely.
It is impressive. Also, thanks. I hate it.
That
Please
sounds
never
like about
again.
half of the tactics I try and use in War Thunder,
Oh yeah,
specifically when bombing.
show him a little trick I've learned is what I made mention of. And Brian compares it to War
Boiler
Thunder
pressure.
shenanigans,
This is awful.
and then calls boiler pressure,
200.
210.
which, I mean,
Driver diameter.
48.
56.
I mean, he did just get a free refresh on what that stat sheet looked like.
yeah, no, it's, oh man, it was such a good play, and that's the worst thing about it.
It's good in
and
a way
now-
that makes me hate
Tender
him.
water capacity.
Yeah, and now he's got all the power stats and size,
4,000.
you know, well, and tender stats, I
12,000.
guess.
Mhm.
Power and capacity.
The thing is, I remember a few weeks back where we had one match somebody
Low
did
pressure
pull off.
cylinders.
It
This
might
is
have been
3 by
AJ.
22, and I have 2 of them.
35 by 32 by 2.
Alright, so I didn't ask
High
for
pressure
math
cylinders.
there because it was pretty straightforward.
15 by 22. And I have
22 by 32.
Alright, yeah, so the low and high
Yeah.
pressure cylinders are much larger on 1309 than Skookum, which shouldn't really surprise anyone.
Yeah.
Northern Isle.
The folks are. I made a joke about Challengers, Northern Isle.
There was a 3-cylinder Garrett once,
Just
or a 6-cylinder Garrett.
disastrous
I know that.
start.
Yeah, it was
I believe
the
it was the LNR
Kaiserin.
one.
I know.
LNER or the LMS one. I can't remember which.
Why would you?
It-
It
no,
had to
why
have
would
been
you
the LNR, 'cause
compound?
I think
Why
it
would
had
you
Grizzly.
3-cylinder compound a Garrett? I'm mad about that one.
Oh.
Anyway,
that blame the British.
flue tube length.
Yeah.
17 feet.
23 feet.
We've seen a lot of 23-foot tubes in this bracket, like more than I thought existed. I didn't think they got much larger than 20.
Yeah.
Tyler, you sort of educated me on why they don't get much larger than 20.
Yeah.
It
And then proceeded to educate me too.
it fucking bend.
It gets a little bendy.
Yeah. Just a little bit of spaghetti in your boiler.
Yeah, I've definitely made some blunders, though.
Oh, see, this is what I was saying. I was saying, like, no, Brian absolutely
No.
has not made blunders to this point. Maybe a
You've
couple
made-
mistakes, but
You've made a couple suboptimal plays.
Personally, I
But
think
you're
I
doing
have
fine.
made blunders.
yeah, it's
No.
20-0, which hasn't happened before.
Mainly
Yeah.
because I'm looking at the stats that I can call next, and I'm like, I should have rattled these off earlier.
Yeah, I know. Now Kaiserin could hypothetically
Alright.
block something.
Right.
Evaporative heating surface.
But the issue
Like
is...
2, or no, actually. No.
Oh, she was thinking
Ignore
about it.
that. Evaporative heating surface. 1959.
On power stats.
4825.
I feel like 1309's boiler is just gonna be raw bigger than anything she has.
Firebox area.
Yeah.
I'd like to block with 242A1.
Blocks on firebox area.
This is why I was saying I had a personal blunder. I should have been calling these first.
No, you didn't. I feel like firebox area is pretty safe for you. I would have been calling things like evaporative heating
Probably
surface divided by
poorly, but it
cylinder
gives me a
volume.
better chance, Ellis.
Mhm.
336 square feet.
Closer than you thought. 389.
Yeah.
See? And now it's a blown block, which is never good.
Right, now you've lost any chance of retaking the initiative, and you just gotta hope Brian blunders. And if he keeps up this performance, I doubt he will.
Oh, I'm scared because the 242A1 is a lot more modern, so it probably has a much larger superheater, so that might not be a good call. But also, I am fucking massive.
Also, it's worth mentioning, Brian now has the
Sure,
only
combined
marker.
heating
If
surface,
he
let's do that.
swaps, he's got a clear board and he can just start over again.
4014.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, thank God, 5800.
A blown
Also,
block or an opposing contestant swap puts the calling contestant in a really good position.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's also a massive risk because I don't know what that is.
What were you saying,
Um,
Tyler?
I'm gonna point out.
Wait a minute. No, he's a 242.
Okay.
She's got the
The
242A1.
superhero development
sorry,
at this time isn't
my
much,
brain is
really.
like half power right
Like,
now.
you go from the
'Cause I'm, like,
20s
trying
and
to
30s with
trying to
like
think
2
about
tubes to
strategy,
4
I'm,
tubes,
like forgetting everything else.
which
Tender fuel
is-
capacity.
big.
Tender fuel capacity.
See, 12 tons.
16 tons.
And I avoided the what do you get.
No, Ellis, you get another day older and deeper in debt.
And of course I got corrected.
Yeah.
Of course.
I said, I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Just like the other day when y'all found out that I was actually pretty young and everybody thought I was like 30.
And then I got to feel
I've
old.
known that for a while. I remember you said that once.
I've gotten that too.
You can't be that old, Ellis.
Every time you
I-
see
I-
Ojalice, you feel old.
Oh, I saw someone referring to the to
Hey,
1994
Alice,
as
you marked something wrong. You marked down superheating surf instead of combined.
Brian caught me on a goof. Someone referring to 1994 as the late 1900s.
I'm gonna go with your weight computation.
That's true.
It is
let
true.
me
I don't
calculate this real
like
quick.
hearing it.
Yeah.
Mine ain't good. I don't think.
That's,
Considering that, it's a melee.
so yeah, weird ET's weight computation, or genuinely good call. Wheelbase ratio comes up later and is weird.
Oh, I've already got my value. 0.57.
0.84.
Yeah, and it's such a good value for the 262. You can see why the wheel arrangement persevered.
Right.
Yes, 1309, the famous prairie.
262.
Did you make the same
Yes.
mistake twice?
Probably.
Okay, I'm gonna take a quick risk here and do a grade area.
It's not really much of a risk.
53.83.
Oh, that wasn't risky at all. 72.2.
Yeah. You're a big melee. Like,
And now I would like to swap.
you're a
There it
big
is.
late melee.
Your
Pascal
firebox
Bourdon.
sides get to basically the loading gauge.
Yeah, and also there he goes back to the Bashar Bourdon,
Yeah, and
which
It's time
you
for
know,
a French duel.
like you're a late melee. Your firebox is going
take
to
our
be
backhands
big,
out
and
of
your
our
loading
holsters.
gauge is going to be bigger than the Frenchie.
yeah. No, Brian was playing scared, and I don't
French
really
me
know
like one of your
why.
French
I don't
boys.
either.
Anyways, numbering class.
Because Kaiserin's intimidating, I guess. I mean,
Number in class. 1.
To be fair, the
280.
number of tricks.
Number build.
yeah,
1.
it's.
280.
I think
Builder.
the issue.
Chapelon.
Baldwin.
I think the issue with Kaiserin's lineup is once she runs out of tricks on like her second batch, it's
Tender loaded weight.
it's easy to see. You know, like there's not much left.
Yeah. I like Kaiserin, I like her roster, but she doesn't have an Achilles heel so much as she has an
Big fat
Achilles
goose
calf.
egg.
Achilles calf. What was that stat call? It was probably something
Minimum weight of
weight
rail.
related.
77 pounds.
I'm
That's
assuming
actually
it's
kinda lighter than I
tender
thought it
loaded
would
weight, based on
Yeah.
the colors.
12.
Yeah, tender loaded weight, of course. Pressure
Rigid
Bourdon
wheelbase.
not having a tender loaded weight.
20.17.
2.95.
The episode that's coming out
Engine
as we're
wheelbase.
recording this features TJ
44.29.
with the S100,
7.55.
and he didn't
Hold
know
on
about the
for a
tender loaded
moment. I'm
weight
getting
thing.
a phone call from my grandmother.
Oh,
Oh,
right,
no.
the phone call, the obligatory phone call.
Oh, your mom.
Yeah,
Do 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 do
Uh,
do do.
I'm trying to try. This is less of
It's mom of mom.
a mom of mom.
Oh,
This
your
is
mom.
less cohesive of an experience that I had hoped for when I envisioned us doing this. But
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I was just like, what the hell do I do with this recording now? Figured something out.
Yeah, this is the trainer
Alright, I'm
video.
back.
This is the one you watch for
She
practice.
said she could call me back later, so it's all good.
Oh, I made sure to ask if it
Mhm.
was mom of mom or mom of dad, because we always pause for mom.
What's the difference again? Mother and father?
Oh, I said maternal or paternal and
Yeah,
confused Brian.
maternal. If that does mean mother.
Anyway, so yeah, the French duel is back on. It is, what is that, 31-0, I think? Or 33?
Something like that.
let me
Yeah,
check,
that's-
Yeah, it's 33.
Okay, overall wheelbase,
Ooh.
89.6.
7.55.
And I'm glad we're here for the long haul, because this game does get more
Wait on
interesting.
drivers.
You're gonna eventually, Brian. You know that, right?
What?
Just
Oh,
here
I
rounding
said-
the
Did you say
bases
you
on the
cut
first
out when you
innings.
after you're gonna, and then came back with eventually.
Oh, I said you're gonna mess up eventually.
I understand that. I'm just trying to get as far ahead as possible before that happens.
Yeah, knockout insurance. Being 40 points up is good knockout insurance from the 242A1.
I'm gonna be cruising down the street, feeling so fine, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, a steel chair just falls from the sky.
Prize tool that will help us later.
Yeah,
That stat call was overall wheelbase.
yeah. The first 30 minutes
wait,
we
no,
get one interesting moment, and it's Brian
you
pulling the
selected that,
180 or the 360, perhaps.
Oh yeah, we already did
360
overall.
no scope.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Weight on drivers: 185,188 pounds.
28,197.
I was just sitting here going like, okay, when is the
Engine weight.
other shoe gonna drop?
326,284 pounds.
28,197.
The thing is, I don't know if Brian can make it back around to pull the same trick he did. He's gonna have to give up the ball
Total
eventually.
locomotive weight.
Yeah.
496,040.
28,197.
I mean, what's a tie for him here? Would he be? Do these both have wall shirts?
I mean, even if he wanted to tie,
Ellis Tamelio's weight computation.
he'd, he'd, unless he has something with Baker in there,
0.57.
I don't see a way he
Yeah.
could
One.
swap the locomotive and keep the ball if he can't get himself to the next marker.
Yeah, that's true, and there wouldn't be the forced tie on the other end because
Right,
Kaiserin doesn't have Skookum out.
right, and I feel like that's not a mistake she's prone to make again.
No,
Tubes.
it's just something really interesting.
127 at 2.02 inches.
96 at 1.772.
It's a really unique maneuver to pull when you and your opponent have the same locomotive.
It's a hell of a play.
Okay, wait until we have the first roster where somebody has more than one of the same locomotive.
Oh god. Oh god. Is this where I mess up?
Spending
Yes,
like
it
2 minutes
is.
spinning back and forth between the same
I'm
two
like a
engines
stat
just proves
short.
it.
No. Oh. Alright,
You got
time for a
pop-
risk. Loco base ID.
Loco base ID. Ooh.
1063.
Damn it, that's the one! 49.53.
And finally, it's 39-1.
I feel like if he played a little more confident in 39-13 and maybe called one or two more stats, he actually might have been able to clean swap back to 1309 and just keep rolling at least for a little longer.
Yeah.
Year built.
Like, of course you call that when the markers come up. 1915. Well, 1916 for 43325 in particular.
1946.
Fat lot of difference that made.
Well, I appreciate the accuracy.
Yeah, no, the accuracy is important. It's 2 to 39.
Driver diameter.
25.6.
67.8.
Kaiserin has to pick things
Boiler pressure.
that are unblockable.
Mm-hmm.
174.
290.1.
And so far, she's doing well.
See
Mhm.
here. Oh,
Uh-oh.
oh no. Low pressure cylinders. No,
I'm gonna block with 1309.
You know what
No.
she probably would have been
No.
better off doing is actually
said that
starting on
before
Robert Lee
anything.
Messina's.
high pressure cylinders.
I'm still gonna block with 1309.
Yeah, I feel like she's discounting the power stats in
Right.
the face of 1309, which is not, I feel like
22 by 32 by
Again, know
2.
how your power stats work because they're both it's like a 70 point. It's like a
23.62 by
70 gap on grade area, but it's an 80 gap on boiler pressure. She wins. Her boiler pressure is higher.
I
Yeah.
would have still lost with the Frenchie because I lost against one cylinder in in my match with Fort.
At least for one of them, if you sub in firebox area, things get interesting.
They do, but she would have at least had Robert Lee Messina's.
Yeah.
so
Tender fuel capacity.
yeah. So that went over to
I like to block.
that was high pressure
Red
cylinders, which
Devil.
the 242A1 only has one of. So
I have a feeling this could go poorly because of that.
and there's the other reset. Kaiserin blocks with the Red Devil on tender fuel capacity.
You're so done for, Brian. 22 tons.
Yeah, that is the South African equivalent of a coast to coast. 16.
So Kaiserin realizes that the Red Devil has a larger tender than 1309.
Okay, but now what do you do with that?
It is a very efficient engine, so maybe it's the same.
Yeah, no, this is a real question mark moment, right? Is it
Right.
smaller or larger than 1309?
Well, I think it's still going to be smaller because sure, maybe it's got a larger
You're
loading
built.
gauge proportionally, but it's still capable.
The worst part is, I'm pretty sure I would have beat the 242A1 with this. I should have. 1949.
Honestly,
1981.
Yup.
That is the
Yeah.
best year built on anything that isn't like
Tornado
if you were to
is
pick a
here.
specific
Tornado has a stat
Chinese Mikado
No,
instead of just
tornado.
going off the stat page.
You won the WWNF 11
Tornado's
stat
an
page
A,
is
a
2025.
peppercorn A1 though.
I was going to make a joke about the T1 Trust stat page or the
2000, I think.
2030.
Yeah,
I think it's either 2003 or 2008.
2008 sounds better. It sounds. Oh
So-
God, you're freaking Kaiserin, your freaking Brunel gauge stuff. You could have gone with the new builds.
the new build Iron Duke
Oh,
in a lineup.
Yeah, but those were built in the 80s.
I'm pretty sure one of them was built in the 2000s.
Let's see here. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do here?
I don't want to imagine
Is
making
my
a stat page
I've
for
got
one
the
of
ball,
those.
right?
So
We are gonna go with boiler pressure.
boiler pressure is a good call.
Yeah, that I'm pretty sure that was a good call because if I remember correctly, yours is 252, 210.
Nope, 229.2.
Lower than I
Oh.
would have expected.
What was I,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree, but still higher than anything
what
in
was I
Brian's
thinking
lineup.
of 252?
Yeah, I
Driver
think,
dying.
Oh, this is always gonna go poorly with me. 56.
60.
Those are 60-inch. Oh right, that's Cape gauge.
yeah. I feel like
I gotta
Kaiserin-
remember, it's Cape gauge, so even though it looks massive, and it is massive in many respects, the proportions are still whack.
Yeah, I feel like Kaiserin is going to run into a problem where the Cape Gauge Northern is not going to be as much of a powerhouse.
What we do?
as it looks.
Oh yeah, I see the guy.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is a lot smaller than I thought it was.
It sucks because
Okay,
I like
we
the
got-
Red Devil and
That's
it's
like
been
if
as of yet
Newfoundland had a Northern,
underutilized,
which,
but I don't.
since it's Cape gauge, yeah, that
The
makes
problem
sense.
is it doesn't really match up
Speaking
against
of
anything
Cape
else very
we're gonna go
well,
with minimum
unless you're
weight of
also
rail.
doing other Cape Gauge.
102.
70.
I remember that was the fattest one in the Cape Gauge Royale.
All right. yeah, so
Huh.
I lost my window.
What I learned from last time is avoid power stats.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure about that.
I don't know if I agree with Kaiserin here.
And don't call me Shirley.
No, I think I do,
Oh man.
Oh wait,
There-
no. That's yes.
because
I'm
she
serious.
doesn't have as large of an edge in boiler pressure, and I am dead sure that firebox in that grade
Yeah,
area is
sorry.
not going to be large
let's
enough
go
to make
with
up the gap.
Yeah.
wait on drivers.
Maybe with this locomotive, but I don't know. I don't remember specifically.
Americanisms. 366,700.
167,551.
I don't
Yeah.
remember specifically what happens, but
Engine weight.
434,900.
271,168.
there are reasons I would say why I don't necessarily disagree
Let's go
with
with
hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't necessarily agree with hindsight, rather.
engine wheelbase.
48.83.
37.99.
In the Devil, I feel like at least the first three don't work out for Kaiserin. MT, I
Oops.
think probably, and L1 toss up, but I don't think the first three work out. I don't think that locomotive has the.
We're gonna go. You said this was 1949, so we're gonna go with 2.
I don't think it has the firebox for it.
I think that was a good call on your end. Or, I don't know. 241 at 2.25.
No. No. 158 at 2.52.
No!
There we go.
Why would you
That's what I
call
was thinking.
tubes with 2.52 diameter? That's an
I
awful
wasn't
call.
thinking of 252 boiler
Yeah.
pressure, I was thinking of 2.52 tubes.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was. I don't necessarily know. I mean, maybe there are other wheelbase and weight stats that could have been one
Flue tube
Right.
for
length.
tubes.
I feel like tubes was not the only option here.
19 feet.
23 feet.
And now it's back in the hands of Brian. It's 42 to 12.
Tractive effort.
52,436.
70,773.
Oh.
You know, it's interesting. Even if the problems with the 242A1 were resolved in terms of stats,
Low
I
pressure cylinders.
don't think it really would have made much of a difference in
Don't have any.
at any level.
35
Yeah.
by 32 by 2.
Kaiserin made it as far as she did off of knockouts and
High pressure cylinders.
Right.
24.02 by 27.99, and I have 2 of them.
I know
We
I
might
know
need to
we're
get a
maybe
calculator for
halfway.
this.
I know we're
22
maybe
by
halfway through the
32.
match, probably less. But if the wind is blowing the way I think it is,
By
then I have
by
some
2.
commentary on
Of
that.
course.
all right. So take a look at these stats. Right,
Mhm.
22 by 32 versus I think it was 24 and change by 30.
Yeah.
And so I said, let's go to the calculator here. And it takes a minute for Kaiserin to get the numbers in. But watch this. You can't see the numbers, but 25,000 versus 24,000.
Yep. The diameter
Wow.
squares.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the radius does, anyway.
Well, the diameter divided by 4 squares.
I knew it was like a mild risk looking at the picture, but I didn't actually think
Diameter
it
divided by 2
would actually
squared.
go
It's
badly.
Diameter squared over 4.
It's okay, we don't need to do geometry anymore. We have Wolfram Alpha for that.
No, but
That surprises me.
I do actually. I'm still in university.
No. That's
Same
that's
here.
when I used Wolfram Alpha.
Oh God.
I don't use it anymore. I don't do this stuff at work.
Oh, didn't you use it last week? Or like 3 weeks ago?
Wasn't for work.
All traffic engineers know is VizSiv and what's the thing like MUCT?
We're gonna go with
the
Meanwhile-
sign book.
tender water capacity.
Yeah.
Their water capacity.
Underwater
So-
capacity, that would be 12,000 gallons.
Kaiserin's still in the process of recognizing the larger tank.
12,672.
Way to be those guys, SAR.
Solid works.
But yeah, I mean, there's, 14
Let's
stats
be
off
honest
the
here.
board?
I have no way to come back from this.
Mhm.
I don't think that's necessarily
Good.
true.
You very well could.
No comment. At the time, I agreed with you. And not to say whether that was true or not, but I think what I'm saying is I said pretty much that exact thing at that moment.
You're definitely not Sisyphus.
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 We're
Apollo's
gonna go
dodgeball.
Not in a good way.
Let's go with Power. Power MT.
Power MT.
I think that was a good choice for you.
Yes.
308.42. It's not good.
It's bad.
Yeah.
1,125.79.
This was,
So,
I
yeah.
think, the safe power stat for Kaiserin.
Well, and moreover, that's a bad Power MT on a locomotive that has more axles than the Red Devil.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're gonna go with. Superheating surf.
Don't know about that.
975.
975.
What?
What did you say?
I said 975.
Oh, well, 1014. 1014.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were saying you also
Well-
had 975. I'm like, what the hell?
I straight up forgot how that went.
Yeah.
But
more
yeah, Tyler, you're
superheater.
saying about the superheater changes.
Yeah, it's also...
No,
I
if
need
I
to
say
see
your
the
number
diagrams
back
of
to you,
these.
I am confirming that I heard you correctly.
Okay.
But the thing is...
It didn't sound
is
like you were asking a question, so I was confused.
the H6s, which yeah, that's that classification, are derived from, like, very early
I'm
Malays,
gonna go
so...
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets brought up. That does get brought up. It's a late build, but an early design.
Know your
let's
engines,
go
folks.
With,
It gets modernized,
factor
but
of
to what
adhesion.
extent?
This might be a little iffy.
Factor of adhesion. Which,
I'm pretty sure yours is bad, but it's not as bad as this. 5.18.
3.2.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are both bad.
I remember
Like, really
that.
bad.
Yeah.
We have trading cards for both of these locomotives. I feel like that should have stuck in my head, but it did not.
Yeah.
That happened between me and Milky, didn't it?
Oh no.
But yeah, the Red Devil wins that one. And yeah, I mean, Kaiserin's
Four.
walking a tightrope here,
Yeah.
Let's see what
trying
we
to
got.
figure out what she
Uh,
can win. But honestly, I feel like this isn't the position to play scared necessarily.
Right.
I feel like there are more obvious wins here.
Yeah.
And even the power stats, I don't even necessarily think that they are, unwinnable because of the boiler pressure difference
I'd like to use my marker
and
to
larger
swap
cylinders.
to 24281.
But Kaiserin goes back to the 242A1 anyway, which isn't necessarily the worst decision, but it does give Brian the ability to reset.
We're gonna go with. Let's see. I've run out of stuff to call if you can't tell. We're gonna go with sound above a sub firebox area for grade area.
Alright then. 95,577.
What? How is it? How? Oh, I don't get this. 128,896.
The answer is boiler pressure.
See?
Yep. Just like I said.
Yeah, no, it's at this moment where it becomes clear that makes the difference in these two lineups. And honestly, that should be something for Kaiserin to press.
Right. I don't think this would have worked in the Red Devil. I I'm sure the Red Devil's firebox was not larger than 1309, and I'm sure that boiler pressure difference wouldn't have made up the gap.
I'm gonna
But here,
block.
with the 290, yeah, you've got the boiler pressure. You can press power.
Yeah, Albertan. David.
So,
David, come to my rescue.
tender loaded weight got called. Bishop Bourdon is coming back out.
Oh, tender loaded weight was a bad call with a block on the board.
Yeah.
And I feel like should have gone down the rest of the power stats, right?
Exactly. Like, Kaiserin won what? Plus
Yep.
superheater percentage?
Firebox, sub-firebox area.
Sub firebox
Sip.
area. Yeah, then you press sub. You know Brian is a small superheater. Plus superheater percentage, you hit Robert Lee Messina's, and then you, at the very least, hit MT because you know his is awful.
See, I told you I'm not coming back from it.
Yeah, no, I think Kaiserin, to this point, when given the opportunity, hasn't fully pressed the advantages that she has, whereas Brian has done an excellent job of wringing points out of Kaiserin.
And formulating strategies to keep the advantage, to keep that pressure.
I can't wait for the Hemlock review of the.
Hi, you're getting it live this time.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more directed.
Like I said,
We're getting close to an
notorious.
hour of it.
To quote a different Ralph Wiggum quote than I usually use, I'm learning.
Yeah, Brian has definitely figured things out. Even if
Yeah.
he's only gotten like 5
Numbered
points
class.
since he first lost the ball.
Yeah.
280. Number belt.
1.
The score's still
280. Builder.
Chapelon.
Baldwin.
Like, don't get me wrong, Kaiserin's in a bad position, but until this
Rigid wheelbase.
set of points,
20.17.
2.95.
Brian
Engine
scored
wheelbase.
5 against Kaiserin's practically 20.
44.29.
Right.
yeah.
I feel like Kaiserin could have
7.55.
clawed this back,
Overall
but she
wheelbase.
needed to play more aggressive.
89.6.
Yeah.
7.55. Weight on drivers.
185,188.
So we run down all these stats again, of course.
28,197.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Engine weight.
You see,
326,284.
28,197.
I found it really interesting that Brian
Total
was
engine and tender weight.
going on about how,
400.
oh, I think I've done a blunder. Oh, I think that, again, they had minor
1,197.
misplays. But
Estimated
Kaiserin not
complication.
pushing the advantage there is
0.57.
1.
That
not
was
not
the only
nailing the
thing-
minimum weight of
coffin
rail.
yet, but
Yeah.
77.
I wouldn't
12.
say she's sunk yet, but I think that is the first thing I'd call solidly a blunder.
mhm.
Yeah.
Tubes.
It's sort of a race against
127
time
at 2.02 inches.
because Brian knows how to get
96
points.
at 1.772.
Right.
And Brian knows how to get a lot of points.
Yeah.
Right, and even if you can claw the initiative back,
Oh,
you can
boy.
only lose it so many times before that just
I
ends.
want to
Or
take
Brian can just end the
a
game.
massive gamble.
Yeah. And the other problem, as we hinted to earlier, is
Power MT.
Kaiserin's not in any position to do a KO.
1285.02.
And
The gamble paid off.
Dave
1401.72.
that is a
For sure.
really big thorn.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think I'm actually
Cannot
Yeah,
get rid of
especially
that.
because-
look at this.
Yeah, I mean, her lineup is so dependent on KOs on the 242A1. And the Red
Yeah.
Devil, but
Right.
Okay, that's bad for her, but is it bad enough?
and this is also sort of like insurance against people with lots of style points, as being in the lead against them.
That's going to
Yeah.
be a death sentence, even
As
though
mentioned
like,
earlier.
I want to.
But also, just to highlight, the 242A1,
Sometimes you
just
have to sacrifice something to find out some information.
242A1 lost
All
Power
right,
MT
I
to
can't
Fresh
remember what it
Alcohol.
is. Oh,
Yeah.
no, mine is too bad. No.
I hate
No.
I hate how good the Khrushchev Bourdon is.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be
Alright,
seeing it in a lot more
she
lineups.
said,
Good God. I hope not.
I'm gonna lose anyway, so I'm just gonna call this evaporative heating surface divided by cylinder volume.
378.34.
Oh, that was lower than I thought it was, but I still lost 355.57.
All right, and the initiative does go back to Kaiserin here, but it's 20 to 57.
Firebox area.
40.47.
336.
I keep looking for gaps in the thing to try to say something, and then I never have anything when there are gaps in the tape.
Yeah.
Great area.
5.06.
53.83.
But Kaiserin is doing good taking the stats that could be blocked later and calling them now.
Right.
Yeah.
Combined heating surface.
That is a good move.
Atlanta was .290.
4014.
Yep. And now there are more markers on the board
Foam.
for its set.
That was double foam.
And Kaiserin has to, play very carefully.
Driver diameter.
Ah, that was smart. You called something I couldn't block on. 25.6.
67.8.
I think I, at some point, asked her.
Still not. Wow.
I think I at some point asked her, like, hey, were you saving those stats specifically?
Boiler pressure.
Uh,
174.
but that may be lost to time.
290.1.
But yeah, now she's calling the unblockables, which
I
Right.
feel like I shouldn't be as
Which is a
surprised
good
as I am
move.
that the King has the largest drivers in Kaiserin's lineup.
Yeah, that's just from looking at pictures, right?
No, I know what it is. I haven't looked at the stat page, but I know I used to be like a massive fan of the Great Western. I know what it is.
that comes back later.
Okay.
I don't remember what the Halls is though.
That's
Same as above. Firebox area.
that's some
Wait, hold
unintentional
on.
foreshadowing right there.
Same
Same as above, but
as above sub firebox.
sub firebox.
I'm gonna block the 1309,
Blocks with
It might not win.
1309,
but I want to have a good chance.
which is
Oops. I accidentally clicked on it.
on Brian's part, I think the first true blunder he's made.
What
Yeah.
did he
Oh
block
shit!
on?
I'm gonna lose anyway because I forgot about the boiler pressure thing. 95,577.
128,896.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
Evap heating service. Sorry, no, not evap. He blocked
Yes.
on plus. Sub firebox.
So the one he already lost on.
Yeah, to the
Yep.
Red Devil though, right? Oh no,
No,
it
it
was
was
to the 242A1.
it was to the 242A1. Yeah, that's just a blunder. Also,
Yeah,
let's see if Kaiserin
Power
has
MT.
learned.
I was already called.
Oh.
calls Power MT.
Which one is the axle loading stat?
Power
It's
MT.
not axle loading. It's power L1, right?
No, it's Power MP.
Second match in a row, someone has gotten that confused.
Know your
It's-
power stats, folks. It's good
Yep.
for you. It really helps you. I am screaming at the screen, know your power stats.
Power L1 then. Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way.
8550.
8,550.
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay. Just making sure. 26,985.
Uh-huh.
That should be
Call
giant.
all the
Like,
power
This is
stats.
one of the worst ones on
Call
this
all the
page.
power stats. Call all the power
Yeah.
stats.
Do
It's
it.
not the
Do
worst,
it
but
now.
it's one of them.
It was.
It's a USRA design that's just been modernized slightly.
It became clear to me at this point that Kaiserin had two locomotives that were more powerful in respects than 1309. At least two, I should say.
Mhm.
Which-
Loco base ID.
Oh, pain. 15843.
Owned.
1063.
But yeah, Loco base ID instead. 28 to 67 by the looks. Yep,
Mhm.
2867. We're looking, for the audience, we're looking at a very grainy
Okay,
video.
let's do some. No. I'm thinking about something. And it ain't gonna be good.
The board looks a little like
It ain't
Swiss
gonna be
cheese.
good.
Yeah.
Let's go with valve gear.
Valve gear. Which I
Wall shirts.
Wall shirts.
don't know what the plan was exactly here. I remember being confused.
No, because everything on my team has wall shirts.
I asked Brian if he wanted to swap. He said no. So Kaiserin has to.
Red Devil.
Swaps to the Red Devil, which also has wall shirts.
Why?
And yeah, I was a little perplexed. It's 1309 against Red Devil,
Yeah, that's.
It was Valve gear.
and Valve Gear goes back to Brian, or the point
Wall
goes
shirts.
back to Brian, or the ball rather, the initiative. Can you define a plan?
Okay.
This.
Huh.
What's your strategy?
That is, Oh, tractive effort.
There are still some things on the board.
52,436.
70,773.
Weirdly enough, it puts it
Low pressure cylinders.
back in the hands of,
I ain't got no low pressure
Brian?
cylinders.
but Kaiserin still
35
has
by
a marker.
32 by 2.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting position to put yourself in.
Yeah.
Aw, right. Shit. Tubes was already called. But that wasn't. Flew tube length.
And there's 25 things off the board, and I don't think these things were things that Kaiserin
19 feet.
23
necessarily could have won on either.
Evaporative heating surface.
Evaporative heating surface. 3,104.
4,825.
So these are. I mean, the only other thing is,
Ah.
and I'm realizing this
I'm wondering
now.
if my bigger boiler can offset my lower boiler pressure.
Kaiserin could have swapped and cleared the board.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it, let's find out. Actually, wait, no. First, I need to look around. Those won't work, I know they won't. That won't work, I know it won't.
Yeah.
That won't work, I know it won't.
Knowing when the board is going to reset is a skill.
That probably won't
Yep.
work. That definitely won't work. Okay then, Robert Lomacio's power computation. Ba-ba-da-ba. It's the first time it's been called the Royale.
Block.
15,880.
No, what are you doing?
What the hell? 15,162.
How's them apples? Red Devil wins.
15,881.
How close was?
15,162.
Hold on.
I had them repeat them because I wasn't sure. But
That is close.
by 700, Red Devil wins.
Interesting.
Yeah,
How close
that's-
to the great areas.
that's why I said what I said earlier. It's a single axle trailing
You're
truck
built.
versus a double.
Yep. I kind of saw that coming. 1949.
1981.
Red Devil is the only engine I couldn't beat with that. Aside
No,
from maybe some of the other
wrong,
Europeans.
but I won't stay with it.
Foreshadowing continues. But yeah, no, that's why I was saying what I was saying earlier.
Let's go with tender fuel capacity.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. That went poorly last time, so.
See, the
16.
great areas are a lot closer than
22.
I would have thought, especially with how 242A1's great area was.
Yeah.
Mhm. Did you just look them up?
Tender water
I did.
capacity.
Because I was curious.
12,000 gallons.
Yeah,
12,672 gallons.
So this,
Way to
so
be those guys, South
if I'm
Africa
remembering correctly,
Railways.
242A1 has to have a smaller grade
High
area
pressure
than
cylinders.
the depth, doesn't
22
it?
by 32 by 2.
24.02 by 27.99. And if we remember the last time we did this, I won.
Barely. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it
Yeah, I
does significantly.
what do you say? Smaller than Red Devil?
Yeah, that's why I thought
Accurate
Red Devil
adhesion.
couldn't cut it. I was like, no way, no way the grade area is
5.18.
larger than.
3.2.
Yeah. No, it's.
That is.
This is why I said there should have been a moment where it became very clear that Kaiserin had two more powerful locomotives than 1309. Unfortunately, I don't think. I think the being 40 points down had a sort of intimidation factor, you know?
Same as above
Right.
plus superheater percentage.
It makes you not want to play aggressive even though you have to.
17,740.
Right. I think if Kaiserin played aggressive-
19,852.
3561. I mean, the gap has
Superheating
closed a lot.
surface.
Yeah.
975.
1,014.
Yeah, I think if Kaiserin had clocked her advantages here and pressed them, she has a shot.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, and she's still got that marker in her pocket. She's got the ball back, marker in the pocket. It's not the most terrible situation. I say only down 30, like that sounds like a lot,
Let's go
but in this game
with,
it's not.
Yeah, I mean, Brian
I don't
came off
think you
to a
have it,
30-point
but I'm gonna
lead
go with
before
axle
Kaiserin got a
loading.
chance to score, so
I
it's
do,
not an
actually.
insurmountable gap.
62,600.
They both have axle loading, and I think
43,233.
I took a second to explain to both contestants here that axle loading is now callable if you don't have the axle loading stat. It just defaults to mid axle loading, or average axle loading, as it's more, perhaps more accurately known.
Yeah.
But that is, that is what it says in the rules. It's a non-Loco Dome specific rule, so I went and I changed it already.
Okay.
And yeah, right now it's 3761, gap of 24 points, marker in Kaiserin's pocket. What would you do here? I could think of something. It's only 2 points to the next marker, though, is the issue.
It is. I would, if there's nothing left on the board, I think I can win. I would swap back to 242A1, and I'd try to call a couple of stats that Brian can block with before he gets a marker.
If you can't see,
Then I've
run out of stats.
pressing. Then I just keep pressing that power advantage.
There are two things you can call that I see, and one that I assume you don't have.
Yeah, so it is down to the last,
we can be honest, we don't. Neither of us have booster.
3 things on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish I had an engine with a booster because I love calling that stat. But no.
And I just was like, call something.
I'd like to swap. I'd like to swap.
Oh,
No, I don't want to swap.
never mind.
Nope.
This,
Nope. You should have done that.
I would like to call wheelbase ratio.
No.
Interesting play.
Against the 2662? Are you nuts?
Well, Malay wheelbase ratio is weird.
0.41.
Yeah.
Holy shit. 0.41.
And it's a tie.
Oh my god.
Yes, I am serious.
And a swing and a what?
How is this northern
And
got
don't
this
call me Shirley.
video is a melee?
And
Yeah, so
here comes the Fairley. Here comes the Fairley.
honestly, Brian was scared of the Fairley because it's not 1, because of the way wheelbase ratio is calculated.
Ryan didn't swap to the Fairley?
No.
Okay, I suppose
Brian-
actually relevant question. was Brian allowed to recalculate it knowing that the way it's calculated on the sheet is only using one driver wheel set?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, then it makes no
but-
sense for him not to swap.
Wonder.
Well, it's not one. It's still.
Okay,
think
but
it's-
it's a tie.
Why it's
It's
also
it's
weirdly
point. It's like
disproportionate to
0.7 something. I've
LSMLA
calculated it.
computation.
He would win, and he should know that.
Well, I don't know why he didn't go with that. I think he was trying to, I don't know. But the thing is,
Also, the fact that the Peugeot Bourdons isn't one,
one of the 110s has
which also resulted in a tie. Remember?
has a strange number,
Mm-hmm.
which comes up in a second. It has like 0.6 something when all of the other ones are 0.41 or 0.42.
Yes, if I'm remembering this correctly, little 110, light 110.
Yeah, so we were talking about the tie for a while. Brian goes to light 110 because it's got what effectively I think could be an erroneous number.
I got this right in the weirdest way possible. 0.68.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing, because most of the wheelbase stats, it is different from heavy 110. But heavy 110s is 0.42, and every other Maui on this except for the class 4 is also 0.42. So even if it was the supposedly correct number, I would still win.
Yeah, I think that one is suspect, and I was thinking, like, well, I mean, I guess I could see it being 2/3, but it doesn't seem right to me. But
0.68,
he lives,
this close to greatness.
he lives by the stat sheet. Not that he wouldn't have won anyway, but,
It should be the same as Big 110, though, so I'm going to call it 0.42 because that seems correct.
so he does win that. Goes to light 110 versus the Red Devil. There's still only, like, 2 things that
Yeah, 0.41.
can be called on the board, and he doesn't have a marker. So the only thing left is flues, which is Oh wait, that's probably why he went not to the
Yes.
Peugeot Bourdon.
It's up to the delegates.
I would
Up
like
to
to
the
block. King Edward the First.
That's an interesting block. But yeah, Ham, I think the reason that Brian didn't jump to Peugeot Bourdon perhaps is because the only thing left on the board was flues.
That might be a new record.
Mm.
And you call flu, or well, no, I suppose.
I have 32 at 5.125 inches.
Damn it! 18 at 5.375.
For the sake of the game, we count known zeros as a missing stat if you're calling them. Like, you can't call something you have a known zero on.
Mm.
Except for tender loaded weight, which is an interesting sort of conundrum.
I feel like it maybe shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, no, and I haven't really thought about
Nor
that.
have I.
Because if he'd... Oh, you're built. Hold on. Wait, watch this.
Yeah, I'm a going block. 1309.
Brian blocks with 1309 on year build.
Goodbye, little 110. You were good for like 2 seconds. 1949.
Ha 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 ha! This is my trap card, Brian. 1955.
Oh, fuck. Oh.
Got him.
Yes.
Get his ass.
1955.
What?
These are the modified kings.
They swapped the chimney.
You know, the one with the 2 funnels.
Okay.
They swapped the
then
chimney.
You listed it wrong because it says GWR.
Well, That's what it's
And the
listed.
modified kings are BR.
That's what it's listed as on the stat sheet. So that's what I listed it as in the.
If it's 1955, then it's BR. BR
I
started in
don't know. That's
1948.
what the stat sheet says. It says Railroad Great Western.
I was highlighting the BR logo on the tender for the sake
Yeah.
of this argument. But yeah, that was something I didn't see coming. But
Yeah,
those-
I prefer the blue.
It says PWR on the stat sheet.
Ryan has a
They were
point.
blue.
I think, yeah, the thing with known zeros
I shouldn't have done that.
is
I wish I had
something
known that. I wish I had known prior.
something maybe worthy of discussion,
Numbering.
but
Backfired. I did not know that there was a separate stat page for the modified king.
It is kind of weird that there is one. So it's very minor differences.
I get where Brian
Numbering
is coming
class.
from.
And
well,
How many?
10.
Oh, 30.
at the very least, we can say that Kaiserin had not run out of surprises.
Number built,
10.
30.
Which was, yeah, that I didn't see that coming either,
Let's see here.
but managed to get
This
the ball
is
back.
the,
Still
I'm
has a
calling
marker.
against the CNO thing, right?
You're calling against Western Maryland Scenic 1309.
I sort of want to justify Kaiserin listing it as GWR.
We're gonna go with
but it does
wheelbase
feel a
ratio.
little misleading. Well, a little.
0.41.
But
0.55.
I mean, I don't think it was intentionally misleading, so
yeah,
it is what it is.
Engine wheelbase.
48.83.
29.42.
In fairness, we certainly haven't had people shy
Overall
away of,
wheelbase.
88.56.
certainly haven't had
57.458.
people shy away from listing their locomotives in a certain way to not give things away.
yeah.
You could just, if she had just written King Edward I, I would have let that fly as well.
Yeah.
We just have Skookum. Nobody's writing, everyone's just writing Skookum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that-
Yeah, I mean, in theory, you could make the same
yeah.
criticism of.
but
In theory, you could
It's
say,
made by
well,
British
Brian
standards.
should be listing it as as Western Maryland Scenic Railroad.
The only things
1309.
bigger, I think, were
We're gonna
the,
do-
Well, he does.
or the British. Or
He
the
does?
LMS specifics.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can't
so
see
we're
the
gonna
sheet,
go with.
so I thought he listed the CNO.
Weight on drivers.
366,700.
151,200.
Kaiserin has momentum here and is calling all the weight stats.
Engine weight.
Which is a good move.
434,900.
199,376. Tinder loaded weight.
208,200.
104,608. Total engine and tinder weight.
643,100.
303,984.
I'm going to have to look at how we handled known zeros. I'm going to have to rewrite those rules
Minimum
down.
weight of rail.
102.
84.
Ooh, that's chunky. That's higher than the Red Devil.
Driver diameter.
56.
78.
Yep.
50 to
Yep,
63.
yep.
Or 62.
Boiler pressure.
Diameter is as Aeolus.
Boiler pressure.
210.
250.
I remember that from Train Simulator.
Factor of adhesion.
Oh, 5.18.
3.75.
Much better.
Let's see. Now we're getting into the thick of things, where it's hard.
Giggity.
I like hard things.
Bomb.
Same.
Uh,
Same. Same.
Where's my bat?
I gotta keep my
I need a soundboard with the bonk sound effect. Oh no.
I will
Oh,
often
okay.
sort of get lost in my own questioning my rule book in the middle of these, and then have to play catch up.
I mean like my soundboard that I used to use all the time that had the
The
Gangsta's
rules for
Paradise.
rulers.
Yeah, the rules for foamers, really.
Axle,
And we buy trading cards.
axle loading.
Yes.
Wait. Yeah, I call axle loading. I was just making sure.
But really, the only,
62,600.
I guess,
50,400.
I guess the reason that's
Ooh, that's heavy.
never come up before is that we've never
Uh,
we've never had another game mode where you're forced to make a call,
They're good.
like you're forced to call a specific stat.
Fish and chips is awesome. I just can't have it that often because my dad's allergic to
We're
fish.
talking about fish and chips now. I don't remember how we got there.
Fish are
Also, I
friends,
can't
not
have
food.
Haddock, because haddock tastes really bad.
I
for
don't
some reason.
respect fish.
let's go with tubes.
Oops. 241 at 2.25.
Ah, you beat me. 115 at 2.25.
So it goes back over to Brian, 63 to 53. But a gap of 10 from a gap of 40, and Kaiserin still has a marker.
Bo earns.
I made a joke. Can't remember what it was.
Blue tube length.
I'd like to block Red Devil.
Don't think that block was wise, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Kaiserin knew that she had no way of winning that.
Mm-hmm.
Would have saved it for something where you know you can
19 feet.
Right.
23.
win. 64-53.
Now you've lost the marker and you don't have the advantage of the momentum.
The attractive effort.
Yeah. You don't have the initiative, you don't have the momentum. The
Uh,
board is clear.
52,436.
70,773.
It was all coming up Kaiserin for a while there.
Builder.
Wardale.
Baldwin. Number and class.
1.
10. Ellis Tamelio's weight computation.
I'd like to block
A block.
King Edward I.
Block with King Edward I. And this is another one where I don't think this was a solid block.
Yeah.
10-wheeler against a 2662 that has an outrageously good ET's weight computation.
I need to put it in the calculator.
Honestly, I don't think having both King Edward and Alton
I want to wait to hear Kaiserin's first.
is a good call in the just setting up your roster.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
it-
I think, as Hemlock said earlier, it doesn't have an Achilles heel, it has an Achilles shin. It is,
Achilles calf.
like,
Yeah.
Achilles calf, sorry, yeah. Brian's lineup is far from perfect. In fact, it's got like 20,000 pounds of headroom
Mhm.
before it hits the cap, but Kaiserin's is just too samey.
0.76 is mine.
0.84.
I feel like we talked about that during Kaiserin's loss to East. That landed her down in the loser's bracket.
Yeah.
It started this
I
mess.
still can't do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I started this mess. I made them fight
oh
at the
yeah,
beginning.
tender fuel
Yeah.
capacity.
That's true.
7.2 tons.
Fight, fight, fight.
16.
Kiss, kiss. Sam.
Tender water capacity.
4,400.
But, you know, I feel like
12,000.
while we have had a couple of test games, or we had had a couple of test
Low-pressure
games,
cylinders.
and being
Not.
everyone, especially
35
Brian,
by 32.
especially Brian and Kaiserin, because they are pretty, they're pretty versed in Loco games. They know what what you can win with.
I hope I'm remembering this right. Tubes.
But I don't think it was super clear to everyone before
115 at 2 1/4.
the bracket really got
Right.
going
That was right. 241 at 2 1/4.
how important it is to have a strong top and a strong bottom, or at least
God, I
one
hope this
of
isn't
those
wacky.
two.
Evaporative heating
Yeah.
surface divided by cylinder volume.
You really do want one.
Oh no, it sucks. 149.75.
342.78.
Cool.
To be fair, the most flexibility that we've really played with before this was the doubles.
Yeah.
I know
Which-
why it sucks, and that's why I only call it low pressure.
Yeah, and doubles.
Because I'm not sure if I'd
I'm-
want to risk it, considering what happened with Red Devil.
Quite sure. Just letting you know, but I am quite sure you probably still would have won.
Doubles are a very different game.
Yeah.
Best
doubles
exit
are a
down.
really chaotic
evaporative
game.
heating surface.
There's a reason I
2013.
had that marked as sort of the most friendly
4825.
of these. Of the local
Combined
game
heating
types.
surface.
2502.
5800. Superheating surface.
489.
975.
The heating surfaces are just a no-win for any of Kaiserin's lineup, which is a shame.
Firebox area.
195.
And now Brian's got the marker.
389. Great area.
34.3.
72.2.
So, yeah, I mean, it's 78 to 53. It started to feel like a foregone conclusion.
Let me look around here.
Feel like Kaiserin had run out of secrets.
Yeah.
Robert Lemessina's power computation. Ba-ba-da-ba.
8575.
Okay, for a second I was really scared there. 15,162.
I'll be honest, even in my
Plus
rosters,
superheater percentage.
even in
10,290.
17,740.
yeah, even in the stuff that I put together, I don't necessarily have the strongest top and
Sub
bottom.
firebox for great
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Well, you also focus a lot on themed
58,500.
rosters.
95,577.
Yeah, because I like themed rosters. I
I-
feel like a themed roster is better than like a dumb meta roster. In
Her.
what's the word? Sportsmanship isn't the word that I'm looking for, but it's better.
Yeah. I don't necessarily like the meta rosters. The one time I played it was with a themed roster. And like the one roster I made beside
I've
the
got an
me
idea.
roster I made was sort of
I've got an
meta,
idea.
but more is a bit on
Rigid
my end
wheelbase.
than anything else.
Brian calls rigid wheelbase.
16.25.
My idea worked. Can.
Yeah, and the 3 small drivers are shorter than 3 big drivers. Unsurprisingly.
Damn. Looking around here.
But it was a decent call. I mean, that's the thing. There
Not
isn't
really
too
well,
much.
is it?
This game was played really
Oh,
well.
right, I have a marker.
Yeah.
I would like to swap.
There isn't too much to pick apart.
Show
Brian and Kaiserin are, pretty versed in Loco games.
It always comes back.
And
That was not a Five Nights at Freddy's reference.
that was
I
definitely a
swear to
Five Nights
God.
at Freddy's reference.
Yes.
Five Nights
I
at
hate that franchise.
Freddy's.
Or.
You're just where you wanna be. Just don't get it.
So-
Sucks.
Yeah, there's less than 10 points to the next set of markers, and Brian has 17 to
Alright.
go. But Kaiserin's still stuck at 53. So,
No, it's David. It will always be David.
No.
lay Dave.
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 Builder.
Dave brackets French.
Wyndon.
Baldwin.
Dave, but like with the Frank sign next to his name.
Yeah, Dave with an
Number
accent
in
grav on the
class.
E.
30.
But he's starring in The Train.
280. Number
The
Bill.
Train.
30.
280.
That was. I don't know if it's still free on YouTube, but that was free on YouTube for a while.
Oh, I watched
Yeah.
it while it was.
Oh, good. Grand Budapest Hotel is free right now.
115 at 2 1/4.
Wait, Grand
96 at
Budapest is?
1.772.
Yeah.
Oh.
Such a good freaking movie. I need to watch that again.
Yeah.
I should have put it on at work today.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have there?
Surface divided by cylinder volume.
Listen, my coworker has a legit TV in
A
his cubicle.
149.75.
355.
Maybe I should switch to traffic engineering.
One of the best non-compound numbers I've seen.
I put on.
If not the
I
best.
was working from home today, so I put on like the Disney Jim Carrey Christmas Carol just to have on in the background. For some reason, the audio desynced on
Our
VLC
MP.
Media Player, but not Windows
I like
Media
the
Player.
block. 242A1.
Kaiserin blocks on Power MT with a 242A1, which, is a sound proposition if you don't already know you're going to lose.
yeah.
Too low. 12 or 1,285.02.
That is correct.
I want to say this seems like a
1,401.72.
bad move.
Honestly, at this
Southern
point, it
Fox,
doesn't
you know,
really
wow.
matter.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's
what
the thing.
is
At
the
this
good
point,
move?
Like, what? I mean,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? Just sit there and
Get
take
the
the
bomb
punishment
thing
anyway?
ready.
Like,
I
You
prefer.
can
how close is Brian to the end?
you can tell that my engine was built by Baldwin and Kaiserin's was built actually in France because Kaiserin's about to show the white flag.
Damn, got him.
I hope
No,
the ghost
no,
of
here's
French
the deal.
war dead
Here's
off
the
on
deal.
you.
I
of
represent the
Verdun
France
should
of World War One,
hound
where we
you.
die on our feet.
You should not sleep
No,
tonight.
you! I'm the one engine!
Okay, yeah.
For
Okay,
I'm
I'm-
a trench engine!
Please tell me you two just caught that.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, Ellis Camellia's weight computation.
Trench engine. I didn't realize that. I thought you were still the CNO locomotive.
This was from the War Royale.
Kaiserin responded to the white flag thing with, "No, I represent the France from World War One against the Peshawar
Your
Verdun."
weight computation.
Amazing.
But yeah, calls ET's weight, which
0.57.
is that's an
One.
easy dub right there. 89 points for Brian. But I do agree that wasn't a good call
70.
for two reasons, but they're not really specific to the
Huh?
situation.
Yeah.
77.
Right.
Like
12.
you block on something you're not going to win, and even if you are blocking on something that you know you're not going to
loaded
win,
weight.
just to get a specific locomotive sort of in position.
Yeah.
169,750.
It was in a situation where the
Goose
next
egg.
marker is the reset.
Now,
Um,
Right. I feel like, yeah. I think
driver wheelbase.
and your opponent has one.
20.17.
if Brian was like 5 points from the end, I would have said,
2.95.
I would say, no, it doesn't matter at that point. If Brian's still over 10 from
Engine
the end,
wheelbase.
yeah, that's a blunder. You're giving him
44.29.
more rope to sprint to the end.
7.55.
Maybe you could have
Mhm.
stopped him anyway, but you're certainly not helping yourself
Overall
by giving him
wheelbase.
that rope.
Yeah,
Give your enemy an insurance policy.
89.6.
these games are long enough, and they're
7.55.
shorter than they used to be. But these games are long enough that
Ellis, quick question.
yes,
If I calculate the average minimum, then can I call axle loading?
yeah, that's what min axle loading is now. You can always call that.
Yeah, and to remember correctly, it's weight on drivers divided by number of driver axles.
That is correct.
Okay then, axle loading.
We're about to see a ridiculous value.
Ah,
Oh god.
That's something in common, Brian.
But yeah, no,
Yes.
It-
It's played on by drivers, right?
I don't want to say that people sort of
For both of us, it would be 4.
give up or take it lying down. Some people
It's
do,
a quarter of weight on drivers.
but on the other hand, it is sort of
46,297.
You're
7,049.
people neglect their ability to make life difficult for their opponent
Yeah.
in the small scale, and enough of those add up and give you the advantage back.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
Yeah.
you need to always
Wait
be
on
thinking
drivers.
about how do I
185, 188.
get the initiative back?
28,197.
How do I
Feeling of deja vu.
make this problematic for my opponent? And honestly, you
And
can
literally
be
deja vu because this is a fairway. It can multi-track drift.
you can.
Engine weight.
What am I trying to say?
326,284.
28,197.
You could be too quick on the trigger,
Total engine and tender weight.
but
496,040.
28,197.
it's always important to try to keep in mind how you can best use your block, or how you can best use your markers and what you might do in a tie, and that
What's
sort of thing.
next? That is a good question.
I think Brian has 90.
What's next is a swap.
Looks like 98 points. Yeah, I think this is
1309.
Brian swaps to 1309 to wrap this thing up. Which, just doing it for
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
It's going to end before the next set of markers, so. And then I think I'll mute the audio track and we can have a little
Year
post-episode discussion, because the back and forth isn't going to make any goddamn sense.
1946.
1949.
And that's 99 points for Brian.
Of course, it can only be one thing. One thing that, aside from valve gear, all of my engines have in common, aside from being articulateds as well. Builder.
The greatest locomotive designer to ever.
Not Baldwin.
But have you heard of this guy named Griggs?
Thank you.
This too
Thank you so much, Hemlock.
is a Baldwin. This too is a winner.
The man invented the firebox, doesn't get any credit.
Yeah.
Baldwin has
Our
winning
favorite
in
guy in
the-
a shed.
3 guys in a shed.
I love Baldwin has win in the name. That's a great final word from Brian there.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So I will
I'm just
say,
gonna-
I think
I'm
this,
just gonna
like with our
Crap,
two
stop.
lineups, it depends on whoever gets the
I'm gonna
coin
mute that
flip.
track for a second so that we can talk about this. Kaiserin was saying at the end of this that it matters a lot who gets the coin flip, but I actually don't really agree.
I think there are situations where it does matter who gets the coin flip, especially if you're guarding against a knockout heavy lineup. You really do want to get that coin. You really do want to come up on that coin flip. It's not necessarily like a deal breaker if you don't, but it is certainly helpful to get a chance to come out to an early lead if you're trying to guard against style points. But I think in this match especially, the Brian got off to a strong lead, but Kaiserin absolutely could have come back if she played a bit more aggressively and recognized where her strengths were in terms of the stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Red Devil and 242A1 are better than they looked in this match.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, they're a pretty solid combo at the top end for a relatively light roster.
They are.
I feel like, in a world where most of your standard weight rosters are going to have a locomotive with 70,000 pounds of tractive effort or more as their heavy hitter,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe not so much, but there's still nothing to shake a stick at against something like 1309.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I've been trying to work out a sort of rule of thumb, or a couple rule of thumbs regarding markers, and I usually just say, swap when you have to, block when you know you'll win, and use your knockouts strategically.
Yeah.
Now, there weren't any knockouts in this game,
Yeah.
but I don't really blame Brian for not trying.
I wouldn't have tried either, and clearly it did not work out poorly for him. I don't think
Yeah.
the only knockout that would have mattered to Brian, I think, is trying to get Red Devil and or 242A1 off the board, and I don't think he could have feasibly done that with anything in his roster. So I think
There's nothing
I
in
think
his
he
roster
made-
that looks good for it.
Yeah, I think he made the right call going for the stats, and Kaiserin just never had a chance to open up the top end or nail Brian's bottom end.
So, Brian is going to be going up against either AJ or Bender. I'm intrigued to see the AJ versus Bender game, which is going to be actually filmed tomorrow.
Honestly, I think AJ v Bender might be an example of a match where the coin flip will probably shape a lot of how the game looks, at least early on.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I mean, the coin flip, it does matter to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, with the current rules, there really is nothing to stop someone from getting that early lead out, getting the first set of markers on the board, and immediately going for a knockout, right?
Yeah.
Which we've seen. With the new rules, the opposing contestant will be able to sack an engine to spare whatever they brought out first, and at the same time, get the initiative.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Remind
yeah,
me how the coin
yeah.
flip works. Oh, question about how the coin flip works. So the person who wins the coin flip picks their locomotive first and calls first, or?
yes,
Okay.
they pick their locomotive first, then the opposing contestant picks their locomotive, then they get to call the first stat.
This is a tangential question, but it makes me wonder, if you're worried about knockouts, is it worth picking a suboptimal engine just so you don't run the risk of getting to that first marker and immediately having either your top or bottom end knocked out?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's validity to, with the new rules or the old rules, if you're not sure that you have something that will befuddle your opponent enough, like they bring out a very clear top or bottom end against your lineup that you don't have an answer for, like here, just putting in instead your most style point heavy locomotive to make them think twice about
Trying to go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And in AJ's case, I don't know if she has anything that could beat the S2 on that. So I think in AJ's case, it might just be, well, do I want to try and befuddle the S2 with the Selkirk, or do I just want to throw like the CN10 wheel or the Mountain under the bus because those are the two most expendable things in the lineup?
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting how that match works out. But as far as this one went, I don't feel like there was much of a predictable outcome here, especially considering how the last match went. But, sort of retrospectively, Brian definitely did a really good job of getting that lead at the beginning. I mean, 39 points
Brian,
is absurd.
I was rooting for Kaiserin, but I am glad to see that, these contestants are learning as they go. I'm glad to see that Brian was taking notes on things like, hey, your wheelbase stats are this instat actually. And I'm glad to see that Brian now has a much better handle on how to play with his roster, especially against a roster with a weakness that he can spot. Like, it's good to see the growth in Brian, even if I sort of wanted Kaiserin to come out of this on top.
Yeah, and I do think Brian will give whomever makes it out of the AJ Bender match more of a run for their money. than Kaiserin would, but honestly, I can't say for certain.
Yeah.
I think that both contestants are going to have the. Actually, no. You know what? Brian has the Prashant Bourdon. So yeah, I think both contestants would have had the top and bottom over Kaiserin, but maybe not so with Brian. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I think
yeah,
AJ has a decent shot at befuddling the Bourdon because she has she's a low 4 tank.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
Cute little thing.
Tyler, do you have any comments? We sort of. You don't have a lot to say because there weren't any knockouts.
Yeah, the thing that I'm noticing is defensive play is a strategy that I don't think we've really emphasized as much. Again, going back to the what engine do you start with if you're on the defensive? Especially, again, Kaiserin, those were the biggest blunders in this match were, again, missing blocks and doing, certain swaps that were just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Block when you know you'll win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Because it just comes down to that point differential. Because especially with Kaiserin's case, is their set, their whole roster is great for KOs. It's great once you have that advantage. Once you have the high ground, you're good. You then take out the top end or the bottom end, whichever one's annoying you first. Take it out. And slowly whittle away until you get them to nothing if you can. Or, get whatever ones you need to then get a good rhythm going, keep the momentum, and just go for the finish.
I think
a
thing that we've been seeing with a lot of these matches is I think that a trend we've been seeing is that a fair few people don't know when it came time for them to play defensively, when they were forced to go on the defensive, when they didn't have a clear winner in a certain category, they just sort of fell apart because they didn't know how to do defensive play. I'd argue we saw it with Kaiserin. I'd argue we saw it with AJ. Once AJ was used to steamrolling with Selkirk against previous rosters, and once she was against a roster that she couldn't just do that steamrolling in, she fell apart. She didn't know how to play defensive. She didn't know how to leverage her bottom end. And I'm really hoping that, like Brian, she learned from her mistakes, because I would love to see her move on further. That said, that's a tall order against Bender. Even if she learned from her mistakes, she's going to have to play well if she wants to make it.
Yeah. I think playing defensively is a little bit more strategic than playing offensively. Playing offensive is very tactical. It's what am I going to call right now.
Right.
Playing strategic is, okay, how long do I have to sit on this engine to wait it out to get, something blockable or, whatever. And what do I block to and what do I do then? I feel like a lot of people block to things and then don't have anything to call when what they could have done was just wait a little longer and been in the position for a board reset, or even their opponent would have just run out of things that they could.
Right. I think we saw it to a degree here with Kaiserin, and once again, I think we definitely saw it with AJ. She spent far too much time trying to drag the Selkirk back into a winning position, and she wasted too much momentum trying to do it. She just wasn't winning with those blocks, and she was wasting markers.
Yeah, also, being able to get booted out of the Selkirk with fuel capacity was an interesting wrinkle in that whole game.
Yeah, hell of a wrinkle.
But anyway, we have long past run out of video file, but I really wanted you guys to have you folks to have a chance to talk unfettered, because that's what we did here. But yeah, I feel like playing around the markers and the resets is something that's going to be a very learned skill throughout the course of the lifetime of Loco Dome. Mm-hmm. And no one is quite there yet, but people are beginning to figure out. It's really cool to see. We're going to have rule changes soon, in a couple of episodes. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a few exhibition matches in between this and whatever we do next. It's going to be Mew and East, Bender and Mopac, but that can still happen in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And Fort and AJ is one I would really like to see with the Selkirk and the Super Selkirk.
One I would personally like to go. I would sort of personally like to go against East in his four foamers roster with something. Maybe the Northern Ontario roster. Maybe my own silly roster. But I would like to throw down with him.
Yeah, no, I would also like to play this game at some point too.
Especially if he wins. I want to see him lose. I want to try and make him lose at least one of these. Someone has to keep him humble.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Of course, buy trading cards. Check out the other games in the bracket. AJ versus Bender is coming next week, and after that, Brian versus the winner of that is probably coming the following day if we can schedule them close enough together.
Yeah.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Thank you both for joining me for this post commentary. I hope you had fun. I hope you had at least as much fun as the contestants did. And yeah, I know Tyler. Hopefully, we'll see you in the technical advisor's chair once again before the end of the season. And Hemlock, of course, we'll see you in post commentary.
See you in the Loco Games chat.
Loco Games chat.
Chat, is this real?
If you want to become a part of the Loco Games, you can join our Discord. Links in the description. Yada yada. Bye.